you're building a relationship with somebody through your art, which is the way that they relate to you, and in ways we relate to each other because we relate to the world in a similar way. Like when you listen to a Kanye album, it's like, okay, this nigga, he he's experienced certain things I've experienced, and it's similar to what I've experienced, and now I'm fucking with it because damn, he has the same viewpoint on some of the same things I went through in life. So in every way that I create art, I want to do the same thing.
Yeah, no, I feel that, because it's so expressive, and I feel like there's a lot of overlap in just the human experience, and everybody kind of interprets that differently, and you see it expressed differently. You know what I'm saying? So like I get what you're saying, but this interview is about you.
And all right, well,
It's about you, so we want to know about your experience and how you interpret your art. So we haven't kicked it off yet.
I'm about to give you my name, man. I'm gonna introduce myself.
No, I will introduce you, dog.
You gonna introduce me?
I introduce you, dog.
Right,
but you know, hey, we're here, a Fashionable Frequency interview. We're here with our main man, 4ever4eign. He has been killing it, releasing music back to back since 2023, man. How are you doing today?
I'm feeling amazing. I'm glad to be here. Grateful as always. Blessed and highly favored.
No, absolutely. And like I mentioned in the intro, you started dropping music recently, starting back in 2023 with Scorpio Kid, right? And it seems like since the new year, you've had back-to-back like month-over-month releases. So can we expect that type of frequency like moving forward in 2024?
I believe so. Really, I always just go with the frequency that my heart is feeling. So if I'm feeling like just very, very inspired, you're going to get a lot of stuff. And if I'm not, I'm still making a lot of stuff. You're just not getting it yet.
I feel it. So you talked about frequencies. Is there something specific, like when you're recording, are you recording to a specific frequency, or is it just like the whole experience where you're recording and it's like, okay, cool, now I'm planning out when I want to drop it? Like, how does that work?
Well, for me, everything in life is about frequencies. So sometimes you're on a high and everything in your life is just clicking, and all of the work that you've been putting in is now giving fruits. And sometimes it's a low, and you got to just work on yourself and recalibrate and things like that. So when I'm at these high paced frequencies, I'm creating so much art that it would be very difficult for me to create a good experience for all of it to deliver, if that makes sense. So I might make like 20 songs in a month, but it's like I don't want to just drop a 20 song project. So I got to break it up, and I got to get artworks for it. I got to, create the logistics of it, work with the distributor. So it wouldn't be practical for me to give you everything I make when I make it. But at the same time, when I'm on those low frequency, maybe I'm working on recalibrating, just working on myself, it's a good time for me then to like go back and use some of the stuff that I made when I was in a little bit more of a groove.
I feel that. No, absolutely. And I think it's interesting how you brought up you record 20 songs, because like your recent, like all of the projects that's come out within the last couple of months are, shorter projects, like 5 to 3 songs, right? So like how, in that process of being selective with the songs, how do you go about that?
Well, I think like in my mind, like each song kind of has its own little world to it. Like that's the way it works in my mind. So I try to put songs together that their worlds are somewhat similar, or they paint a story. Whether people interpret the story as I interpret it, that's not up to me. But, for example, the one with For Life and, 4 a.m., I put 444. To me, like 444 is my whole mentality. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm protected, I'm walking with angels, and those 3 songs each had to do with something in my journey that really made me feel 444. So then I ended up naming them all something to do with the number 4, and yeah, it just all connected in my brain. So that's how I like to deliver it.
No, absolutely no. That's fire. How you kind of pulled from different aspects of you and interpreted, the 444 and the angelic numbers that also it represents. Uh, Paint the picture of your latest project, C'est la vie. What was that?
Oh.
What was that story?
Okay. So honestly, like, say I go through something right now that is like too much for me to really comprehend, or like I don't go to therapy or anything like that. So if I have a whole bunch that I want to say that I don't really trust to talk to anybody else about, I'll just make a song about it, and it'll be very easy for me to make a song about it because I just have to say how I feel. So that's kind of what was going on in that project. There, it was just me thinking about a lot of things that had been going on in my past year, just being out dating, meeting new people, understanding the landscape of what it's like to be a single person. For context, I was separated for a year from my wife, and just all the thoughts of how I was interacting with other people. Just I put it together because it was just on my mind heavy at the time, and yeah, that's how it came together. It was just me venting.
No, I feel it because you even had a track, City Boys, right?
Uh-huh.
Could you define what a city boy is?
Man, a city boy is it's like a city girl. It's just somebody who just wants to have fun.
Right.
Like it's not too serious. It's somebody who's enjoying their life on their own terms, and they are the priority to themselves. It could show itself in a lot of different ways, but I think that's the simplest way to put it.
No, yeah, I mean, you got to live your best life, especially when you're single, right?
Say la vie.
No, yeah, no, 100%. Man, I'm really rocking with the fit too, dog. Could you describe the fit for us?
Man, well, so I got the Prada Cloudburst on, just the standard shoe. Uh, some Japanese denim. My friend Basil put me onto this brand, and this is a shirt from H&M. Yeah, keeping it simple. Oh, and Tom Ford glasses. Yeah.
Keep it. You say you keeping it pretty kosher, bro. You really popping out on the scene for real. Are these prescription?
No, man.
Oh.
They're blue light blockers, though. They're blue light blockers. So, when you do a lot of work on the computer, say you're producing for a long time, the blue light blockers keep you from feeling that fatigue on your eyes, so you can work a lot more. Which, American lifestyle, got to keep working.
No, 100%. So you mentioned producing. Do you produce all of your music?
So far, yeah, I've produced everything that I've released. I produce a majority of everything, and if not, I'm putting my hands on it a lot. There's one track that I did get a lot of help on, and that was 2024 Love. And it's actually, ironically, my favorite because you just hear all those different elements from one of my favorite producers. His name is Cliff. And yeah, I pretty much mix and produce all my own stuff.
Oh, awesome. So walk us through that process because you say you use music as therapy, right? Where do you draw a lot of inspiration from like your personal life, but in terms of putting it all together, walk us through the process. Like, do you start with the beat? Do you start with the lyrics? How do you go about that?
Okay, so a lot of the times, I'll use something simple like a loop or a melody, or maybe just something random I found off Looperman or Arcade by Output, and I'll just hear the sound, and it'll either inspire a beat or lyrics, and whatever comes first, that's what I'll do, and then I'll just fill in the blanks. A lot of what I do musically is just filling in the blanks. Even when I write, like it's not like I'm writing down a song. I just kind of make whatever sounds I think sound cool, and then I fill in the blanks. Or maybe a lyric came to mind, and I could just fill in the rest based off of how the lyrics that I already had kind of sounded with the melody. For me, it's just hearing what a song that I want to hear would sound like, and then just making that. So it's not like I'm coming to it with a plan. It's just whatever God is throwing at me, I'll just try and put it down, and that's what I get.
Oh, that's amazing. So I'm assuming, especially when in terms of lyrics, since you don't write like in your notes or anything like that, do you do like a lot of punch-ins?
Absolutely. So sometimes even I'll complete the song and I'm like, nah, I don't like how that sounds. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna change that online or whatever. But a lot of it is punch-ins, and sometimes like I think about like some of my favorite artists and what they did at a certain point in time, and I'll try and capture that feeling. I may not sound like them, but or if I do, that would be cool too. But I try to capture that way they emoted in a moment, and to me that ends up creating a song that I like because it's just an amalgamation of different artists that I like anyway. So yeah.
No, absolutely. So, who would you say some of the biggest inspiration in music that kind of inspires some of your sounds that you've made in like say La Vie?
Okay, so in general, I would say some of my biggest inspirations are probably like '80s artists, like Hall and Oates, um, Sade, um, Michael Jackson. Really, the list could go on and on. I love artists from every different time period, but my main thing was always really catchy choruses. Um, I really enjoy when a song is simple. So that's something I'm learning as I move forward, just to simplify an idea. Because when you first start writing, it's fun to try and create the most impressive thing you can. But I'm learning to realize, like, for me and my type of music, I don't really need to be impressive. I just want to make it catchy. It's enjoyable.
No, yeah, you shouldn't make anything complex. I think the more simpler it is, and the easier it is to explain, the easier it is for people to digest.
Right.
Yeah. Um, and you say you mix, produce, and write all your own lyrics. Like, where did you start in terms of like your musical journey? Was it producing? Was it, just freestyling and writing, or like how did that all come about?
So, funny enough, I was writing songs since I was 16, but they weren't really songs. They were just raps. So I just write raps and I could never come up with a chorus. Um, Fast forward, I never did anything with that. I joined the military, and I had a friend who was deciding to make music. His name is Brooke Vega, and I really was like, man, like this guy's just doing it. He's just making songs. Let me try and do that too. So I would go with him to the studio, and I would try and make a song every once in a while, and it would come out cool. I wasn't really putting forth a vision though, and I wasn't proficient enough to create it myself. So really what I was doing was I was trying to fit myself to different beats that other people create, which is pretty normal. However, it was just half-baked. Fast forward a little bit more to about 2016, I started going to the studio out in Houston. I was working with a guy named Philip. He used to be signed to Def Jam, so he's a really, really good engineer. So good that he was ended up producing the songs that I'm doing, even though I came with a beat. Like he would just fix the beat, like change everything, and that really inspired me to like feel like it was possible for me to make better music. Things worked out, didn't work out. We moved forward, and at some point, I'm like, man, I can't really get the beats that I really want, so let me find out how to make them. So I asked my wife. I was like, hey. I really want a producing software. Can you get me one of those? I got FL Studio. Well, she got me FL Studio. And eventually, I started making my own beats. And at the same time, I went to school at SAE, and I started learning engineering and production from SAE. So SAE forced me to learn producing in Logic, even though I had FL Studio at home. So I started learning, and now I can use all the DAWs as far as producing goes. And yeah. I think that tells the story of it. But about 2019 is when I started engineering and producing. Before that, I just wrote. And I made a few attempts at making songs, but I started really making songs probably around 2020, I'd say.
Oh, awesome. Wow. So you're provision in like all DAWs all across each platform as far as producing. Which is your favorite to use?
I would say my favorite for producing is going to be FL Studio. It's just so simple and like so potent. Like everything you can do in there, I could make a beat in probably 15 to 20 minutes there that it would take me probably 45 to an hour to make in Ableton. However, in Ableton, the customization is just a little bit crazier. You could do the same thing in all of them. All of them are similar, but it's just about how many clicks it takes to get to a certain result and what that leads to your creative process. So like the more clicks I feel like you have to do to put an idea out of your brain onto the paper, it leads you in different ways. So it just comes out with a different result. Like, I like the beats that I make in FL a lot because they get the idea down, but I do end up finishing producing always in Ableton because that's where I record.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, right now I use FL and Logic, so like I might make a beat in FL and then go to Logic because those are the only DAWs I have. I just don't want to pay for it anymore.
I really do. I really do.
So, for someone starting out in their music career, what is a piece of advice you would want to give them?
Just keep making music. So no matter what it's sounding like or what people's feedback is, the more you create, the more you understand how you create. And you'll be able to kind of judge yourself against yourself the more time passes and the more products you have out. It's just like anything else. Like, you wouldn't want to worry about making the best version of something before you're even making something. So if I have a cookie recipe, I need to be making cookies consistently before I worry about making the perfect cookie. Really, if I start off trying to make the perfect cookie the first time I make cookies, it's just not going to happen. So that's kind of the way I see it.
No, absolutely. You gotta just express yourself, like create art. No, 100%. How would you describe your style in 3 words?
Just keep going. I don't really worry too much about like the result. I just keep making music, and whatever that's gonna sound like, it might sound different each time. Or if I hit a groove, maybe a lot of songs will sound the same. But either way, I don't really think too much about it. As long as I'm creating something, I'm happy.
Oh, awesome. That's amazing. Wow. I hope that inspires someone to just keep going, you know. Well, I appreciate your time today, man. I feel like I've learned a lot about you, even though like I know you personally, right? Through your journey and all. Is there anything you would want to leave with the people before you wrap?
Leave with the people. Man, embrace gratitude, and gratitude means just appreciating your gifts no matter what stage they're at. There's no such thing as talent. Talent is just an accumulation of experiences that other people can see now. Yeah, and believe in yourself, because God believes in you. So if he does, why wouldn't you?
No, awesome. For sure. 4ever4eign, man, you got to see him at Fashionable Frequency. He is going to, really pop out and just make an experience of it all. So happy to have you, man. You know what I'm saying?
Glad to be here, man. Thank you.
No, thank you. All right. Peace out.